Welcome to iDAS video channel. In this video, I'll show you what's new in iDAS 12.4, but I will show only the new features. I won't show any updates or enhancements of the existing features. So these features I'm going to show right now are completely new features. So let me start with the move labels for COGO points. If you go to points, there's a command move point labels. And in this case, I have a drawing with some COGO points that display the labels. This command is very useful for, let's say, big platforms where you have a lot of COGO points and you need to clean up those labels. So if you select the COGO points, you have an option to specify the label distance from the point. I will use a 20. Then I can specify whether I want to use the angle or centroid based or reference points based. Let me use a centroid based, and what it does, it finds the centroid for the selected points, and then each label is sloped from that point, as you can see. If you don't like it, you can change the angle. So I will select those two, and then I will hit enter. Again, I can specify the distance. I will use 20. I hit enter, but I want to use the angle. So as a default, it asks for the angle. I will use a 45. So both labels do have an angle 45 degrees. For this one, I want to use a 135, or I changed the length instead of angle. So what I will do, I will just finish the command. I will use a 135. It will become very long, but no problem. I will repeat the command. And then I will use a length 20, then angle 135, and the problem solved. So I can use the same approach for the last one. I will make it a bit longer, 25, then I will use an angle 225, enter, done. There is also an option to use the reference point. So let me repeat the command. Then as a length, I will use a 25. I hit enter. Then I will select the reference point. And if I select the reference point, then everything is sloped from the reference point. If I select those two, I can use a reference point somewhere here. I need to specify the length. Then I use a reference point. I will specify it here. So it slopes like this. If you often work in a paper space, and that's the area you generally work because the important is the outcome on a paper, not how it looks in a model space, then those slopes can be calculated based on the rotation of the drawing. As you can see, that platform, the rectangle, is sloped or rotated in this view, in the world view. But if I go to paper space, the paper space is rotated. And if I run that command again, let me go to rotate labels or adjust labels, overlappings, and then I go to select points. Yes, I want to use a distance 30, and I want to use a angle 45 degrees. And as you can see, both do have the correct slope. For example, this one should be probably a bit longer. I select it. As a length, I will use a 45, as an angle 45, and it looks much better. So it depends whether you work in a paper space or model space. Of course, if you do it nicely in a paper space, it won't look that good in a model space, but you must decide what you want to do. Another new feature is that if you open a new drawing, you might get a pop-up message. Let me open it. And this message shows you if there is a conflict with a catalog. My current catalog is set to iDAS catalog, but as you can see, this drawing doesn't have any catalog available because it was not saved in iDAS version 12.4. iDAS version 12.4 automatically saves the latest catalog used for that specific drawing, because if you use various catalogs and various drawings, it might get a bit confusing. So if there is a conflict, iDAS will inform you that there is a conflict. Even if there was catalog, but if it was different from the one which is currently set, I do have a few options. I can use Civil 3D catalog, or I can use an iDAS catalog, or I can use catalog last used in this drawing, but it's grayed out because there is no last use catalog saved yet. Or I can browse for any catalog. I'm going to use an iDAS catalog, and as soon as the drawing opens, it will pop up the window where I can just click OK because it browsed to the iDAS catalog iDAS pipe catalog, I can just click OK. But we had to introduce this window because what happened when we set it up programmatically, those values were empty for whatever reason. So this is just to confirm that this is the catalog I want to use for this drawing. And if you save this drawing, it will save this catalog. So next time when you open it, and if your Civil 3D catalog doesn't match your drawing catalog, you will be informed. If you don't like that settings, if you don't like that pop-up window, you can switch it off. There's a new command, pipe catalog settings, but I would strongly suggest to keep it on. There is a do not show this dialog when a drawing opens. So keep it on. Don't tick it off because it is very useful to have. We often get a support request like why I can't create the network or why I can't swap parts. This is typical issue caused by the pipe catalog not being correct. You can also use this window just to set your iDAS catalog. I use that often now. Instead of going long path, I just come in here, pipe catalog settings. I say use iDAS catalog and then I click OK. My catalog is set correctly. Very useful command. I believe it should save a lot of time to our clients. Let me move to another command. I will display bulk water pipeline and I will show a few commands that can be used for these types of network. Let me go to pipe design utilities and here you can see some new commands. I will start with the first one, delete parts along route. You can select the command and then you can go either to plan or to profile. Let me start in plan. I will select the first structure, then I will select the end structure. I hit enter and it deletes all the pipes and structures along the route. I will turn off selection cycling. And what's nice is that you can select the parts in a profile as well as in a plan. Let me go back to delete parts along the route. And this time I'm going to profile view and I will select the first structure and then I will select the end structure. Then I hit enter. And as you can see, again, the parts were deleted. There's another command, a new command, which creates parts along route. Let me use that command. You can specify which network you want to work. You need to specify the structure you want to use. By the way, don't forget that you can tap on a keyboard, let's say J, to jump junctions. Then you select the junction. The same applies to pipes. You can again tap in a command line and then you jump between different pipe types. And then you can specify the size. Let me use 160. Then you can specify whether you want to connect to existing structures at the start and end. And if yes, then you can also specify the tolerance, because when you specify the chainage along the route, there might or they might not be structure at that specific chainage. So this is the tolerance within which the iDAS will look for a structure. Then you specify the alignment. You can specify the start station. If you want to create the network for the entire alignment, you can just click this button and it sets the start station, and this button for the end station. However, if you want to create the network only along the portion of the alignment, then you can use the second button and you can either select objects in plan or in profile. Let me start with a plan, and there's another option to select structure. So instead of selecting the chainage station, you can select the structure and it will pick the station. And I can do the same for the end station. Let me select structure and this is the result. I can specify the interval, let's say 12 meters, 6 meters, whatever pipes they can deliver. There's also an option to set the profile. You can have a design profile, let's say for invert, which you can use for your design, and the newly created parts will follow that profile. And there's also an option to specify the offset from that profile. If you use a positive value, it is white. If you use a negative value, it is dark. That was not the intention. Unfortunately, we didn't find the way how to change the color back to white, so please accept it as it is. Then you can specify whether you want to specify the outside top, crown, center, invert, or outside bottom. I want to use the outside top because this is my cover. Then I click OK. and these parts are created. If I go to profile, they won't be there because the parts needs to be projected to profile view. I will do the second portion. So let me repeat that command again. I go to create parts along route. I will keep the same settings. I will just reset my start and end station. And I will now go and select the start station in a profile view and the end station. You don't need to reset start and end station. I just did it to have a maximum and minimum values here. But you see, this is a start station, this is the end station. Again, I will use the same interval. All the setting is the same. I will just click OK. And again, once it's finished, nothing new will be in a profile view. I need to go to profile view properties and I need to display all the parts. I go to profile view properties. Then I select all the parts and structures. That will take some time, unfortunately, in Civil 3D. I tick yes, OK. And everything is created. Now, let's explore another command which says match parts to profile. I will design a profile first. So I'm going to profile, create profile by layout. Then I select profile view. I'm happy with the settings. I will use a pipe invert as a style, but doesn't really matter. And no labels for now. OK. Then I choose an option. You can select whether you want to use a draw tangents only or tangents with curves. That's also possible. But it won't create a vertically curved path, but it will follow the structures at the curved area. The structure will follow the curve. I'm going to design tangents only to keep it simple. Then I select the start station and I will continue like that. You see there's a discrepancy because the cover was different to the original one. I'm going crazy here just to show you the difference. And now for the following command, I'm doing this for purpose, you will see. And then I will come back here. Let me just check if I do have some good spots like a high and low points. That looks good. Great. And I'm going to perform another command which says match parts to profile, as I mentioned before. Now again, I can specify the pipe network, alignment, which profile I want to follow. And this is my new profile. I want to match invert. Then there is a maximum distance from alignment. What might happen that some structures might not be exactly on a horizontal alignment. They might be a little bit off. So this is the maximum distance. And then there is an option to specify whether I want to do it for the entire network or only between two structures or for the selection. Let me use the entire network and then I click OK. And again, when it comes to selection, you can choose profile view or plan. So you have a various options. And as you can see, it is done. Let me zoom closer. And you can see, for example, here, the structure was not exactly at a PVI. That's why there is a discrepancy. But of course, if there's a PVI, you should have a structure there. You can use the iDAS command to move structure. You select structure, then you specify a new location like that. There is a discrepancy, but you can rerun that command. And there might be more issues like that because I did it for purpose to show you that you can fix it like this. And once you do those adjustments, you can rerun that command and it will be very nice. Nicely. Of course, you should only move the vertical geometry points, not the horizontal geometry points, of course. In my case, I have a vertical line if it is a horizontal geometry point, which shouldn't be moved. And then I can rerun this command and apply, readjust it, and then my pipe network follows that profile. And keep in mind, I will do it for the entire network again. Keep in mind that this might save you a huge amount of time because, as you know, moving Civil 3D pipes and structures in profile view, if you have a long bulk water pipeline projects, takes quite some time. So it might be a very nice workaround to speed up the entire design process. So instead of working with the pipes and structures, you work with a vertical alignment. Once you finish, you move your pipes and structures accordingly, and then you're done. By the way, this is because of the sump elevation. You can always use the adjust invert command to adjust it for all of them. So this looks good, and let me show you another command which says swap structures to air valves and Scour valve. Again, I will use a bulk water network and tire network. I will select the structure type for the air valve and for the Scour valve. You can tick them off if you don't want to swap them, and then click OK. And what it does, it finds high and low points, and if there is a low point, it adds Scour valve. If there is a high point, it adds air valve, Scour valve, air valve, like that. Again, this discrepancy is there because I didn't move the structure to the correct location. And I'm moving to another command, which is called pipe crossing station. So I'm going to pipe utilities, and there's a pipe crossing station command. What it does, that I can select the crossing pipes, in this case culverts. This is very useful for culverts. If you want the culvert name to contain the alignment crossing station, then you can use this command. You know, you can do it manually. It's a very time-consuming job. In this case, you can do it automatically. I have a culverts here. Let me show you these culverts. I will go to Object Viewer. I only selected one side. The other side is not selected only. So this is a rectangular culvert with 2 barrels. Don't forget that we have it in a part list now, so you can use them. And those are wing walls. They can be found in our catalog. I will have another video about the catalog. So let me run this command. So I'm going to pipe crossing station. Then I select all the crossing pipes. Then I select the alignment, and now I follow command line. There's an option to specify whether I want a station to be part of the name or description. I want that to be part of name. I can specify change values in meters or kilometers. I want meters. I can specify decimal format or station format, which uses like a plus sign in between. Then I can choose how many decimals I want to display. I want 2 decimals. Then I can choose if I want any prefix. I can use a, let's say, chainage, space, enter. And then I can use a suffix. So I will use a space M for suffix. I personally don't use prefix or suffix. I prefer the station only, but if there is a need, you can use it. And you can see this is the new name. I'm going to pipe properties or culvert properties in this case. And as you can see, the name is equal to the crossing chainage plus prefix plus suffix. If I cancel, you can see this is a 90, 80, so somewhere here 95, as you can see. So this is another very useful command if you have a lot of culverts in your drawing and you're using the crossing station for the culvert name. This will save you a lot of time. And finally, I would like to move to another drawing, which is called profile view for channels, pipes and culverts. If you ever used this long section which displays various values for the channels, for the culverts, for the pipes, there are rectangular pipes, circular pipes. This long section uses expressions for those values from the analysis. But the problem is that sometimes when you open the drawing from, let's say, Civil 3D 2019 in 2020 or from 2021 in 2022, the expressions are often corrupted. Those are pipe hydraulic expressions. Let me show you where you can find them. I have a video about how to fix them, but it is fairly consuming process because there's quite a few. I'm going to pipes, then I go to labels, then I go to plan and profile, then I go to expressions. Let me stretch it a bit. Here we go. I'll sort it by description. Okay, great. And I think I'll need to stretch it even more because I can't see properly what I want to see. And here we go. And let me sort it by description. Unfortunately, it doesn't show nicely what I want to see. But basically, those are the expressions, hydraulic expressions. You see there are various expressions here. And all these, and they do get corrupted, unfortunately, as I mentioned. And because they do get corrupted, then you will see the question marks in the profile view. So to fix them, you can always come in here. So you can copy the content, Control-C, you need to come inside the content, you need to go to edit, and then you need to specify or replace this text if it gets corrupted. Very time-consuming job. So we provide a command that can update it automatically for you. So it's called create or update expressions. At this point, it updates those pipe plan and profile label expressions only, but hopefully we will bring in some other expressions. So if you get that issue that you get a question marks in this profile view, then use this command. So those are the completely new features, and I will also have other videos about some other improvements in the latest iDAS 12.4.